Good morning. My name is Jason Johnson, and I am with Focus Counseling and Therapy in Daphne, Alabama. Well, Generation X has made it to the midlife, and that became extremely apparent to me this morning when I was listening to a song I enjoyed during the 90s to find out that the singer had recently died of a drug overdose at the age of 46. And it got me thinking about midlife. Now, there's tons of articles, tons of literature out there about midlife and the midlife crisis, and you can go into all of that. But I want to discuss the reason maybe why we have this crisis and what is unique about the 40s. Well, okay, teenage years are just crazy times. You make good, bad, dumb decisions, mixtures of the two. But then the 20s hits. And the 20s are exciting time in our lives. It is where we see the world as endless possibilities. It's where we really see ourselves as immortal in many ways. We start to make decisions that puts our life on a particular trajectory that we choose, whether good or bad. We may start marriages, we may start our careers, start our academics, whatever it may be. The 20s are exciting times. Then the 30s hit. And the 30s is when we often reap the consequences of what we sowed in the 20s, the decisions we made in our 20s, who we decided to marry, the kids we decided to have, the career we decided to have. In our 30s, we're in the midst of that. And there's good and there's bad. And also, it's very likely if we have made it to our 30s that we have had to deal with some major life stressors, whether it is death of loved ones, financial, whatever it may be. And we've had to learn to adapt and cope with challenges, stressors, and tragedies. Well, then here we are, Generation X. We're in our 40s. Now, for the first time in our life, we have the ability to look back at a significant portion of our adulthood and evaluate ourselves. And we evaluate the decisions that we made, and we evaluate the ways that we coped and dealt with various challenges in our life. And sometimes that can bring us peace, and sometimes it can be very often a thing that brings us contentment, such as a successful raising of a child or a successful career you're happy in. But the reverse can be true, and we can look back and see the 20s, decisions we made in the 20s, the experience of that in the 30s, and with regret, and have a lot of stress about it, a lot of anxiety about it, and cause us a lot of sometimes a straight up dysfunction. And that is where the midlife crisis occurs, because we realize that where we are now in our 40s all has been based on those 2 decades. And more than likely, we at least got 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 more decades to look forward to. And the decisions that we make in our 40s is going to lay the foundation that's going to impact the next half of our life almost as much as the decisions that we made in the 20s. So that's why in our 50s it's so important, and I mean our 50s, but in our 40s it's so important to take a review of our life, a realistic view of our life, the good and the bad. Look at the tragedies, look at the successes, look at the things that we are proud of, the things that we are ashamed of, the mistakes, the successes, what brought them about. Have a realistic understanding of how that impacts us. And if we have poor coping mechanisms or poor ability to adapt or have dealt with such stress and such difficulties that we are paralyzed in our 40s to where we are in danger of entering to the midlife crisis, that if you find yourself there, I encourage you to get help or assistance from someone, and specifically somebody who has been trained to deal with such issues. Because in our 40s is oftentimes where we find ourselves as struggling interpersonally within ourselves or interpersonally with other people in our lives. And we see, or we think we see the future of what it's going to be. And that causes us a lot of concern. So it's now, it's the 40s, when our bodies are changing physically, where the chemistry of our brain in regards to hormones are changing. And so we got decisions to make. We have foundations that we need to lay down in our lives, metaphysically, if you will, that is going to drastically impact the way that we see the future and the way that we will enter into the future, adapt, and cope. Because the 40s are bereft with blessings and bereft with challenges. Some of those challenges are going to be the death of close relatives who are aging, and we need to be ready for that. This video is longer than the ones I like to make, but it just really hit me that I am a Generation Xer. I am in my midlife. I struggle with a lot of these things myself. And I know that good help works. Good therapy works. If you would like to learn more about my practice, you can go to my website at jjohnsoncounseling.com, or you can call me at 307-5338, or email me at jjohnson@jjohnsoncounseling.com. But if you're part of Generation X, welcome to Midlife. And if it is something, and if you are in your midlife, and if you are in a situation where you're feeling a sense of despair or a sense of dysfunction or a sense of distress, there is help out there. And if maybe we can help you, or we can find resources that you can find help and assistance, so that we as a Generation X can enter into the second stage of our life better. I thank you for your time. I know it's a long video for what I normally make, but I hope you have a great day.